We all watched clips on YouTube, and this was a clip that I saw, and it was concerning distracted driving and texting while driving. And it was a teenager that she actually would text over 5,000 texts per month, and that's pretty average, I think, for most of us. But this particular child had only her driver's license for 4 months, and during that 4 months she had done a lot of damage to her car. She had almost hit a pedestrian, all while texting. So it's real key that we understand the dangers of texting while driving. And the reason, I'm sorry. Just a minute, Well, obviously, if you can't text and talk, you're going to have a really hard time texting and driving. The reason I wanted to give this speech is because the dangers of texting and driving are very obvious. My name's Jane Andrews, and I wanted to talk to this age group about texting and driving because it's something that we all need to focus on. I wanted them to be able to take something positive away from this and maybe impart wisdom on even a younger generation about texting and driving. I wanted to prove to myself that I can't text and drive. I'm a good multitasker, but that doesn't qualify me to jeopardize everybody in my car or people on the road. And 3, because I have a 13-year-old daughter who loves to text, and I want her to not text and drive. The first point I want to make is what is actually the definition of distracted driving. And there's a great governmental website called distraction.gov, and the definition is anything that takes you off your primary task of driving. And that can come in 3 forms. There's visual, where you take your eyes off the road. There's manual, where you take your hands off the wheel. And there's cognitive, where you're just thinking about something else when you're driving. And the reason texting and driving is so dangerous, it includes all 3. Some statistics that I found on this website are that there are millions of accidents every year due to texting and driving. There's over 2,600 fatalities every year due to texting and driving, or actually just from cell phone use. There was a study done by the Virginia Tech Driving Institute that whether it be hands held or hands free, when you're driving and doing anything on a cell phone, it's the same as being legally drunk. And it's actually worse than actually being drunk or smoking marijuana. We're not encouraging any of these things. They did a study also on if you're driving 70 miles per hour and you're texting at the same time, you will actually take your eyes off the road 5 out of every 6 seconds. And that equals to about 1/10 of a mile, or 2 football fields. So that's a lot of time with your eyes off the road. A lot of lives are being jeopardized at that point. Most teenagers will admit to texting 50% of the time they're in the car. And the #1 cause of death is cell phone use while driving. And that's in your age group, 15 to 20 years old. So with that, I'd like to tell you about another great resource that has what you can do to reduce or eliminate distracted driving. And that comes from a website called textinganddriving.org. One thing you can do is you can go hands-free. That becomes pretty costly though. And it still takes you cognitively away from the primary task of driving. So what I have found, and I've done my own personal research, is that you have to really turn your phone off. Get it kind of out of your reach. Put it away in a glove box or even in your trunk. Because what'll happen is you'll think, hey, I'm at a stoplight, it's backed up traffic, or even on the interstate, backed up traffic. I think I'll just text while I'm here waiting, and it doesn't hurt anything because we're not really running the car. Our own Meg has a story where a tragic accident happened in a parking lot when people were barely moving because someone was texting. And the insurance company found that if you are actually sitting at a stop sign and you start to text, and you're texting away and you're thinking, I'm just in a long line, I'll let these people know I'm going to be late, because we get really backed up after school. and you make that text, and then you're texting, you look up, the car in front of you is moving, so you look back down, and you hit send, and then you look back up again and realize you're moving, and the car in front of you did not move. So you have an accident. So your insurance company actually will call and find out from your phone company if you were on the phone or texting at the exact same time of your accident. And if they find that out, they'll either not pay for your claim or drop you, or both. So it can become a very costly, I'm running late text, not to mention lives that you're putting in jeopardy. So what I am looking at is what can happen if you actually stop texting and driving. What would the results be? And that would be less accidents, our rates of our insurance would go down, possibly not continue to rise, and ultimately save lives. No more senseless deaths from silly texts saying this girl's mad at this girl, or this guy is mad at this girl. Just ridiculous reasons for people to lose their lives or to lose a loved one. There is a law in Oklahoma that states if you have a learner's permit or an intermediate license, they can actually pull you over and fine you for that reason. It's a primary law. So let's put the phone down, put it out of reach. I'm even finding you really need to put it where you can't see it at all. And that way we can make one, even if just one of you, one person can make a difference. So what we've learned is what the definition of distracted driving is, what we can do to stop distracted driving on our own, and what the results would be if we actually did stop. So what I want to conclude with and urge you with is that if you make that change, we could set a trend for generations to come. And you could possibly influence your siblings, other people, and just that one person, if one person makes that difference. So with that, I'd like to conclude with Oprah.com has a great pledge sheet that you can actually go and fill out. But as you leave today, you never know what might happen in the parking lot today. So I urge you to sign this pledge and make the commitment not to text and drive. And we'll pass out these thumb rings that if you get in your car today and you've forgotten all about the pledge and you want to send that important text, you'll have this on your thumb and it'll remind you that you made that pledge. Thank you.